All right. The strongest part of the story for me, I believe, was the probably the Pentateuch. Um, it's probably the strongest for me because I've read it the most. I've taken Pentateuch classes, and I've always been very interested in that. It's appealed to me uh, the most out of that. That's the section of the Bible that's appealed to me the most, and I get the layout of it in my mind, and I feel like that's probably the strongest point uh, that I'm most comfortable telling. The weakest part that I have telling is the after David and Solomon, Jeroboam, Rehoboam, and the split. Uh, it gets real jumbled in there with the northern and southern uh, kingdoms and the prophets that fit in at that time, and the different stages of exile and coming back. Uh, that's I mean it helps the 512 5 5 12, the structure of the Bible helps in that, and the textbook we had helped, but it's just a matter of I'm just not as familiar with that part of the story, and I felt like it showed in the telling of it. Uh, how it's different, how telling the story now differs from telling it at the beginning is kind of funny. I told the story of the Bible to a teacher class I was teaching right like a week before I started this class and even knew about the syllabus or anything about this class. I had just told a class the narrative of the Bible, and it differed quite a bit. So I didn't have the covenants, the importance of the covenants through the book of the Bible and what you were saying about Deuteronomy chapter 28. If you don't understand that, you have no good foothold on the rest of the Old Testament. Uh, so that's the adding the covenants in there. Obviously, the structure, the 512, 512, 41, 21, 1. I think that was the purpose of that. That will obviously be a part of my life for forever now. It's ingrained in me. Um, and uh, just a little bit better understanding of the North and South split, but still I'm still a little unfamiliar with all the names of the prophets and the kings and what they did and when. Uh, but this it was definitely more comfortable telling the story this time uh, than it has been in the past, and uh, I think that uh, this was actually when I told on this was uh, shorter than any of the other ones. The other ones I was doing were right at 50 minutes every time, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Every time I was timing myself doing it, so I skipped out a big introduction part about what I was doing. Uh, but it is the more I tell it, it just comes out more comfortably now instead of uh, searching for what's next in the story. I appreciate the class. I appreciate the numerical structure there that is written on my dry erase boards and written in my mind now. I'll teach that to my kids, of course. And uh, it has been a pleasure going through these textbooks and going through these lectures and just reliving the whole narrative of the Bible. I appreciate it.